Hello everybody, it's time once again to review another portable charger for mobile devices. This time we're going to be looking at a new Trent. This is the IMP99D model. As you can see, here's the box. And it is a 9900 milliamp capacity battery in it. So this is going to be a much larger capacity than the other product that I was reviewing before, the Energizer. As you can see, right now it's even in use. It is actually charging my girlfriend's iPad 2. So let's go ahead and turn that on. We actually started with a 15% charge, and we are now all the way up to 97%. So I started with a full charge on the new Trent device. I drained the iPad 2 all the way down to 15%. I then plugged it in, and it looks like we're able to pretty much charge up an iPad 2 the entire way. Let's just take a look at the device itself. One thing you'll notice on the top are these little LED lights. When the device is charging, the LED lights up. It's actually quite bright, and if you were out with it camping, it can almost function as a night light. They're almost a little too bright. But as you can see, it gives you a general indication of how much charge is left in the device itself. This is going to be full charge. The manual talks about what each little indicator means. Like, for example, this would be like 30 to 60%, 60 to 90%, and so forth. So you get an idea of how much charge is actually left. On the top is the on-off button. At any time that the device is not in use, the LED lights will go off in about 15 seconds after I unplug it, and it will stop discharging any electricity. Now that the lights have gone off, I can demonstrate to you the ability to just quickly check. You just tap it, and it shows you briefly how much charge you have approximately left. We have these little, I guess they're cooling vents along the side and the bottom here, but the device itself, it's only very mildly warm. It has been charging this iPad 2 for a couple hours. It doesn't really heat up all that much. The device is, as you can see in my hand, let me back up the camera a little bit so you can get an idea of its size. Let me bring in my smartphone. That's an Droid Razr. Let me kind of put them next to each other. You can see. So the footprint itself is a little bit smaller than a Razr. It's obviously significantly thicker, and it is significantly heavier. I would say that it would take about 3, maybe 4 Droid Razrs all stacked on each other to be able to equal the amount of weight that this new Trent device. So it is not a light device, but it can certainly fit into your pocket. It would be about the weight of a man's wallet if he were carrying around a significant amount of credit cards. So it is something that you can fit in your pocket, but it's not going to be as light as that Energizer product that I had reviewed, and so it will certainly add a bit of bulk to your pockets. There are 2 different size USB charging ports on the new Trent. The one on the left here is rated at 1 amp. The one on the right here is rated at 2 amps. It is recommended that you use the 1 amp size, the lower power USB port, for charging your smartphones, and that the 2 amp port, the higher power one, is used to charge tablets. However, I have actually been able to get the device to charge up an iPad 2 using the 1 amp USB port, which I'm going to demonstrate right now. As you can see, it is plugged into the lower powered 1 amp slot. I'm going to hold down the power button for 4 seconds. And you heard it connect. It is actually charging the iPad 2. So yes, this is all the equipment that came with the packaging, not including the paperwork. You've got the proprietary wall charger that you stick into the wall on one end, and then into here to charge up the new Trent. It takes 8 hours to charge it from a completely dead new Trent. You've got the generic USB charging cord with 2 tip adapters. You've got a mini USB tip adapter and a micro USB tip adapter. So it doesn't come with very many tips for it. You really will need to use your own charging cord that came with your equipment if you do not have a mini USB or a micro USB. And even then, I still use my own charger that came with the Droid Razr, as well as a charger for my Nook. One thing that's really cool about this generic USB charging cord is that you can expand it or contract it as you need. It sort of locks into place. So you can, so if I can pan back, you can make it as long as you want, and then when you're finished with it, all the way at the end, you simply give it one last yank and it contracts. This is a special connector that is used for the Samsung Galaxy tablets. On one end is the regular USB port, on the other end is sort of an enlarged USB port. I don't have a Galaxy Tab, but for those of you who own one, you probably understand what that is. So it's just really easy. You plug it into, I'm going to recharge my Razr, so I'm going to plug it into the 1 amp part right here. And then I'm going to pick my micro USB tip, and then I plug it into the phone itself. See if I can get coordinated with this. So, and then I simply press and hold the start button for 4 seconds. And the Razr is charging. Easy as pie. So the new Trent IMP99D can charge 2 devices simultaneously. The only catch is that one of the devices must be a tablet. Remember, the second USB port here, the higher rated one, is 2 amps, and it's just too much juice for a smartphone. In fact, the paperwork that comes with it recommends to only use the larger USB charging port for a tablet. So yes, you can charge 2 devices simultaneously, but only if one of them is a tablet and the other one can be like a smartphone. As you can see, I've turned it on, and we've got both devices now charging. One misconception that I want to address is that the universal USB cord can only be used to charge your mobile devices. You cannot use it to charge the new Trent, even though it actually plugs into the DC in. If you were to take the other end and actually plug it into the USB port of your computer, even a high-powered USB port, as you can see, it's plugged into my laptop, and the lights are not on. When this is charging by the wall adapter, the lights will come on. And for those of you who own a Droid Razr like me, one of the main limitations of the phone is the inability to replace the battery or to even bring a second battery. So having a portable battery charger is actually an ideal solution to the dilemma. Not only is it useful for camping and like airports and stuff, but you know, here in Central Florida, the power gets knocked out quite frequently. So how many times was it able to recharge my Razr? I depleted the charge on the Razr all the way down to 14%. I used the battery circle widget on the home screen to tell me the specific percentage. I then plugged it in, charged it all the way up, and it notified me when it was 95% full. So for me, I considered a full charge from 15% all the way up to 95%, which is, you know, what most people will do with their phones. I was able to charge that 4 full times from 15% to 95%. And then on the 5th time, I was able to charge it from 15% up to 58%. So I was able to recharge the Razr 4.5 times, which is actually pretty impressive. Let's compare that to another device that I had just reviewed last week, the Energizer XP4001. This is a 4,000 milliamp rated battery versus the new Trent, which is a 9,900 milliamp rated battery. However, the Energizer XP4001 was only able to recharge my Droid Razr 1.5 times. Now yes, I did drain the battery all the way down to 5%. However, 1.5 times on this versus 4.5 times on this, if you do the simple math, you'll realize that the new Trent is even more efficient. Not only is it a larger battery capacity, but it was able to charge it more times, divided, you know, if you take the number of charges and divide it by the milliamperage, you'll find that the new Trent is actually more efficient, was able to squeeze out more energy than the Energizer XP4001.